glories, no more sound sync issues. Of course, the reason why I'm not just using my solid state drive for this is because there's a limited number of write cycles that you can do to a solid state drive, and I would be effectively killing it to record video on there. So, now let's get into this. What am I doing? Today I am showing you the 4-gate build, but sort of a rush variation that puts on some extremely early pressure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by going to a place where I can test out my build orders and show you that way. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a custom game under multiplayer and searching for build order tester, and I'm going to use this one, the second one on the list, build order test zone. And I really highly suggest anybody should try using these build order test things to practice their build orders. It's very, very important. Build orders actually incorporate a whole bunch of skills together that are very important in the game. So basically, if you know a build order really well, you're going to be doing really good macro, you're going to be doing really good timing. There's quite a few things that just fit together, and all you have to know is when to put down each thing and what to do with the units you bring out in case you're getting rushed early. So build orders, you still have to know a little bit about the game, but they really simplify so you don't have to sort of think, oh, when am I going to have 50 gas, when I'm going to have 70 gas? Should I build a Sentry over a Stalker so that I have more minerals for something else? So anyways, moving on to what this map is all about. As you can see, there are some commands there. You type them into the chat box, and that will allow you to start as any race. So let's say you're practicing and, well, you mess something up, or you just want to keep practicing the same thing over and over again. Well, I type P, and I'm going to respawn as Protoss now. So now I can... Oh, that probe was a little late, but I'll live with that. Anyways, now I can reset it, and I can just, if I wanted, I can just keep resetting and keep practicing my split and building that first worker. There's multiple options that you have available to you with being able to reset, or of course just when you are working on a build and you want to make sure you're doing it perfect, you want to just keep repeating it and making sure you're really good. I've been using this quite a bit to practice different builds, very important. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to be getting our Pylon down at 9. Now note, you don't have to pull off a worker right away at 9. And there will be a little gap here where you can't build anything. This happens no matter what you do. As long as you're building properly. There will always be that gap where you can't build anything. So, pulled off that worker, made my 9th Pylon. As soon as that Pylon is done, I can Chrono Boost, and of course start the next worker. Chrono Boost, very important when to use it. You really want to make sure you're using them properly to your advantage. Now, Pylon came down at 9, that's standard no matter what build you're doing, but of course it is what we're doing in this build. And then, whoa, hopefully I didn't have a gap there without a worker producing. I think I did. Well, let's restart that then. Isn't that the beauty of all this? So, it wasn't too far in, so I was willing to restart. If it had been further, I would not have restarted, as that will make this video a lot longer, but that's only about 1 minute and 10 seconds in.
You have not enough minerals.
So, of course,
you have not enough
I like to
minerals.
put in my hotkey right away, blah, 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 practice all that good stuff, yada, yada, yada. So now, one thing I want you to notice is the timing when I pull that probe off to do the 9th again. I want to get sort of the maximum amount of minerals out of that probe as possible. Oh, look, there we go, grab that one. Of course, if your front door is a lot further away than this, you will be pulling off your probe a little bit earlier just to get to your front door in time. But really, it only makes a difference of 5 minerals in the end, so if you have that long front door, don't worry about it. And of course, I could start my Chrono Boost a little bit before this finished because I actually started that probe a little bit late. So, started a bit late, not a big deal. Could use that Chrono Boost right away anyways. And of course, as soon as that Chrono Boost finishes, I use my next one, making sure I always have workers. My gateway is going down at 13, so that's why I know I can safely queue up those extra workers, is because I know the timing. So of course, bringing one out, brought them out a little earlier than I really needed to, but not a big deal. And there's some people, the way I do this is because I scout at 9, you're going to have another gap right here after you put your gateway down where you can't build another probe for a little while. Oops. And at the end of 14, I find is when you can build your Assimilator and then of course start a probe right away. And Chrono Boost. I was a little bit behind, as you can see, 7 energy behind on my Chrono boost, so not the best, but not the worst. And of course, another Pylon goes down at 16, as well as another probe comes out. Now the important thing is we are stopping all production of Chrono, or all use of Chrono boost, and I'm transferring my workers to my gas and throwing down my cyber as soon as, at 17 supply, as soon as my gateway finishes, I can throw down that cyber. And oops, don't want to use Chrono boost. It's hard to remember that. And now keep pumping out some probes, but I'm just going to stay on one gas. Start a Zealot as soon as I can afford one, but don't start it too soon. You can't afford it right away, so it will take a few seconds. And so there we go, that Zealot's coming out. And I've still got probes coming. Now the important thing actually here, start your warpgate technology as, hey, come on, and Chrono boost it as soon as you can. Your second unit, either a Sentry or a Stalker. Usually it will have to be a Stalker. Well, it will have to be just because you're gas capped. And one thing that was very important to note, I stopped work production at 20. I think I got sidetracked as I was trying to say that. Is work production stopped exactly at 20. I forgot about Chrono Boost here. Not a big deal because I won't have enough Chrono Boost. Because I choose to use 3 Chrono Boosts on my Nexus, I'm short 1 on here, so it's not a big deal if you miss 1. But just important thing about that. Now notice, at 24 I threw down 2 gateways, and then I threw down that Pylon after the 2 gateways once I could afford it. And you won't be supply blocked because you're only bringing out these 3 units initially. And now, oops, I started that late. I completely messed that up, but because we're so late into this, I'm not going to worry about it. I made a lot of mistakes. Oh well. Okay. So you can bring out 1 unit from each of these, and you can also bring out, oh, you can't bring out, I did something wrong with my timing. A little bit off. Anyways, basically, these should be thrown down a little bit sooner if possible. Or, oh, maybe it's because I Chrono Boost this so fast. But anyways, my build order is going to go to crap right now. But basically what happens at this is this finishes, you warp this into warp gates. These will be ready before your warp gate technology finishes, so you start producing units on there. You don't on this one because warp gate is so close to being done. And of course, when this one finishes, you turn into warp gate, and you have a proxy pylon at your opponent's base. So you have this proxy pylon near his base, and that will allow you to, you know, it doesn't have to be Zealots. You build units based on what his army composition is. And there you go. You have 9 units to attack his base with. Very, very powerful attack. And the nice thing is, once you've warped in these extra 4 units at your proxy pylon and you've got these 9 units for attack, is you can actually start producing probes again. You can use your Chrono Boost on here if you want, you don't have to, and you can take your second gas. So now you can start being economical. The other option too is if you don't want to take your second gas and don't want to get out those workers and throw down a Nexus right away, of course you will still need to get out an extra Pylon for sure. Even with this proxy, you'll still need 1 more Pylon, so you'll need to have 5 Pylons once you start attacking, so that you can warp in successfully your wave of reinforcements, as they may not kill that many of these units in the initial attack. And then there you go, that's your 4-gate rush build. Basically, once you've done that properly, it's around the 6.5 to 7 minute mark when you get to push out. Okay, so there we go. As I said, I made a couple mistakes with having mistimed my Chrono Boost, and apparently got out my gateways just a tiny bit slower than I could have, which, yeah, I did for sure. But really not a big deal. The thing is, I always like to use 3 Chrono Boosts on the Nexus. Everyone will say different things, but I say 3 is a really good number and pretty safe. And now I'm going to show you when I use this build in action in an actual game. I didn't have it perfected. This was sort of the first time I had tried it when I played it in the game, and it worked quite well, so I continued to practice it after that. You will find that sort of the 4-gate that us lower level players like to sort of think about is just putting out 4 gateways, and this is exactly what my opponent does. He doesn't actually do a 4-gate that uses a timing attack and uses a window of opportunity. He just puts down 4 gateways because he's sort of like, oh, I've heard 4 gate is good. So we're going to speed up a little bit, and we're going to see how things go. I'm mainly going to watch mine because you can sort of keep an eye on his on the production tab. Of course, Pylon at 9, you can see his is a bit late, bit of a mistake. My Chrono boost being used, and then, yeah, pretty good timing, not perfect. I do scout for a proxy Pylon. Don't ask me why I thought there would be one. It caused my gateway to be 1 supply late, and my Assimilator was then also 1 supply late. But my Pylon's back on track at 16, transferring workers right away, and my Cybernetics core a couple seconds late, but nothing huge. Notice I've stopped using Chrono boost. Oh, wait, I lied. So I mistakenly used an extra Chrono boost, and that is why my timing worked out so well with my gateways, because I accidentally used an extra Chrono boost on my nexus. Not a big deal. You know, you sort of can't. Notice proxy Pylon coming down as these 2 warp gates are coming in, as this technology is getting close to being finished. If we look, don't have energy yet, but oh, as soon as I had energy, oh no, maybe I did. Anyways, Chrono boost that right to the end, warp these all into warp gates. You notice I had 5 units, and I'm going to back up and slow this down a little bit, or slow it down to normal speed. Okay, as you can see, I had those 3 units plus 2 more units, 5 that I had done normally, and then I warped in 3 units, and of course the 4th one will warp in once this finishes turning into a warp gate, and I remember to. Of course, he force sealed the top of his ramp, sort of the best thing to do. Really, you want to force seal the bottom if you can, but he did the top, so I just pulled back though. Really no point, but now I can go in. That force field didn't buy him enough time to macro up units, and part of the problem is he's not warping in. I don't know if he's not even supply blocking. So as you can see, I can now warp and reinforcements here, and because I had him outnumbered initially, I was able to decisively win that battle. And of course he leads the game, and as I was saying, you need that extra Pylon, so I had sort of forgotten to build it. So that's why I wasn't warping and reinforcing units, and I just ended up putting it there because that was easier than going back and checking on my base. As you can see, I built my second Assimilator. It's just finishing right now. As I said, you can do that. And also, if you look at the income tab, income, I now have 21 harvesters, so I've got 2 in the queue. So as you can see, you can start producing harvesters and get that second gas while you're making this pressure. And most of the time, you'll be able to have a slightly bigger army than his, and very successful. One thing that worked out nicely is, like, I had 3 units finish off here and 2 units finish off here almost at the exact same time, or within a few seconds of this finishing. But that's because I accidentally used an extra Chrono boost on my nexus. So it doesn't look like it's super detrimental, but I would still save up your Chrono boost and only use 3 on your nexus instead of using 4 like I did in this game. But yeah, there you go. That is my version of the 4-gate in action. It's loosely based on doing some reading about what other people do with the 4-gate, and I was basically saying, I want a very aggressive 4-gate build, and as you can see, that was around the 6-minute 30 mark when my army was at his front door pushing out. Obviously, with any build, you will have to adapt it based on what your opponent's doing. So, if he was going 4-gate, his Protoss wasn't a big deal, but the big thing you want to note is that if he is going 4-gate, or if he's not going 4-gate, and he starts bringing out Immortals, you don't want to have as many Stalkers, because Immortals do extra damage against Stalkers, I believe, because they are armored units. So yes, Immortals are... Oh no, they do damage to armored units. They're not armored. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, let's say you're playing a Zerg player and he's got Roaches out. You'll want to bring out a lot more Stalkers, whereas if he's got a lot of Zerglings, you'll want to bring out Zealots, because those units kill each other more efficiently in those combinations. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and were able to learn about this 4-gate and how to do it, as well as learn about practicing build orders. And it can be very, very important to practice your build orders and get them down pat. Okay, so I will be having more videos coming out in the near future with build orders. Part of my problem is too that I just, don't necessarily know all the build orders perfectly, so I do have to do some time and research. And as you can see, just one last note, when he did his version of the sort of put 4 gateways out, he did not cut workers early. If we go back to about 5 minutes and 40, you'll see that he's up 6 workers on me already. So that's one of the big differences, is he just spent an extra 300 resources on workers that now can't be put into army, and that's huge. If you look at the army tab differences, you can see that 300 is exactly showing pretty much right there. So we're done.